Hey, who'd you talk to? What's going on? It is me. It is me. It's Mike Lepre, King Michael. This is the world of legit fantasy wrestling. The Wolf. It's still growing on me. I'm not there with it yet. I still don't know if I like it. I'm trying it. I'm trying it out. But joining me as always, Joey Paranormal. What's up, Joe?
Not much. Yourself?
I'm just saying. I'm still having a hard time with the Wolf, but I'm getting there. It's like you can't give yourself a nickname, so like I'm trying to figure out a way for us to earn the Wolf name. You know what I mean? Like to make it so it makes more sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of built in though. So whether or not it's earned or given, I mean, we can just take it. The name works really well. So whether or not we earned or we can say that we've earned the right to be called Wolf, that's just what it is.
Well, you know what it is?
Wolf.
I like wolves, but they get a really bad rap in the sense that like there's some people that wear like those plain gray sweatshirts with like a wolf head and then like a dream catcher.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I want to burn all those shirts.
No, or they have that really weird like purple like with the fog and then like the weird teal transition on the bottom and then just the wolf right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like they go to the place they like to buy leather and like lots of beads and stuff that are in different bead things and like and then every now and then you'll see like a samurai sword up on the wall. Every now and then those places will have a samurai sword. But let's get back to what we're doing. So Joe, it was funny. Right after we did our show last week, it was like the next day that I got a text message from you. And I thought it was like literally from like a week or two ago. That's why I didn't respond to it. I'm like, because I didn't read. I wasn't watching TV. I was nowhere. I'm moving. I'm doing all this stuff. And when you were like, what are they doing? Like, what is going on? Like, I'm like, that's got to be from like last week or two. So I didn't even give it a second thought. And then I saw something else and I saw you said something else. And I was like, oh my God, what is going on? I looked it up and like, wow.
All hell broke loose.
Let me tell you something. We started this show, and I remember on the very first show, I asked you, do you think that they're going to sell? And I said that to you because I was worried about the fact that they seemed like they were getting rid of any of their high numbers, right? Getting all younger people that are more willing to get to negotiate stuff so they don't get as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can gyp them. You know what I mean? You can do that stuff like that. So also the two Saudi shows. Now I'm hearing McMahon walks out on Raw. Like he walked out halfway through Raw because he just didn't like it.
I saw that. Yeah, I didn't get to read the article, but I saw that headline.
What do you mean he didn't like it? Like he's doing it. Like who's doing wrestling? Who's doing? Let me stop a second. Before we get into who was released, I also want to talk about the CM Punk promo with what's his name? Not Teddy Hart. What was the guy's name? The one that told him that we don't want you here. No one in the back room wants you here. They just don't want to tell you. The guy that CM Punk's having the next feud with. I can't remember.
Eddie Kingston?
Name. Yeah, there you go. Teddy Kingston. What did I say?
Is it Eddie Kingston?
Yeah, it is. It's Eddie Kingston. Because I said Teddy something, which was how my mind works. Eddie Teddy, there he goes. But all right. Let's get back on track. First of all, I'll ask you who's running Raw later. What did you make of the cuts?
So
what's your first thought? Just give me a first thought.
I was shocked. I couldn't believe some of the names that they released. The one that really bothers me the most is Ember Moon because I think she was so talented. She was so fun to watch. Her initial War Goddess gimmick was so awesome. B-Fab was another one that didn't make any fucking sense because they just called her up to the main roster. They just called up Hit Row. She from what I understand, she had just negotiated a new contract.
But they didn't need her.
I mean, I don't care. I think that is actually in Frankie Monet or Taya Valkyrie. That's another one that
you know why they did it. I can tell you right now.
She makes a lot of money because she's older. Yeah,
no, but I know why he did this. Like I firmly believe that I know why Vince did this. Vince is getting rid of NXT, the whole old NXT. Everything you liked about NXT before you thought was attached to NXT, he seems like he's just getting rid of. He's clearing all that out. A lot of NXT guys that came up there, they're just being cleared out. It's like he's erasing it like he did the WCW. Like he's obliterating it. Like Tyler, what's his name? Arian Cross. Is that his name?
Karrion Kross, yeah.
I just called him Arian Kross,
he's
right?
not going to be Killer Kross, but yeah, Karrion Kross.
Yeah. The one I'm saying is they're like skinheads.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, blonde hair, blue eyes, yeah.
But this is what I'm trying to get you at. That came from NXT. The B-Fab thing coming from NXT. Vince wants generically plain cartoon characters, if that makes any sense. Like, it's hard to say, but like Karrion Kross, and the reason I call him the other name, I'll tell you in a minute. He did not fit anything Vince wants. He's not what Vince wants at all, because if he's going to be a bad guy, he needs to be bigger than he actually is. Vince wants monster big guys. I don't know if you noticed that one. He wants the bad guys to be big, right?
Yeah.
And if you're going to be a good guy, you better be good looking, just like the girls better be beautiful. Like, it's become like a pageant now. So it's like, you better be good looking, you know what I mean? And big if you want to be up there in the things now. So he didn't kind of fit that. Samoa Joe, same thing. He doesn't fit it. Why? He's not a good looking guy. I think he is. I think he's a Dapper Dan. But my point is, like, he doesn't fit. Like, he's Kevin Owens. Isn't that ripped? Like, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
You see what I'm trying to say? Like, he's getting rid of what NXT made NXT great, what we liked about it. Like when Triple H was running it, like all that stuff, the way that Triple H would build up like feuds between them. But the problem was what he was doing and what they were cultivating there only existed there. That was the problem. It was like an ECW type thing. It only existed within NXT. Whenever they tried to bring those guys up, Vince got nothing back on his returns. So what does Vince do? He's starting to purge everything that reminded him of the old NXT. I think he's losing his mind, Joe, but I'm being serious. That's what I feel like he's doing. All those guys reminded me of NXT. Like pop. I mean, some are in there, but they're all going, I'm going, yep, well, yeah.
Yeah, they were all either in NXT or were recently just called up. Except for there's two exceptions that I can see. Obviously, Eva Marie, but she was expensive. And like you said, you didn't think she was very talented. Her main roster run was awful anyway. But the real one that I think is shocking, is ridiculous, and I think needs to be like investigated further, is Nia Jax. How the hell did they release Nia Jax, and why? What's the story behind it? I know I've heard that she wasn't vaccinated and all that shit, but you can't tell me that she's the only unvaccinated person in that roster. So did Charlotte get her fired as well? Was Charlotte in someone's ear? Because they just had that shoot fight on live TV a couple weeks ago. There has to be a bigger reason, and something's fishy with that.
All right, so here's the one thing I won't touch with a 10-foot pole, but I'm going to tell you this real quick. As far as the ones that weren't vaccinated, like if someone came back in 3-4 months from now told me that Vince just got rid of all the ones that would not get vaccinated, I would not be shocked. And I'm just letting you know that ahead of time. Like, I'm not saying that's why it did happen, but if you 4 months down the line said, hey, Mike, you know why that happened? Because they refused to do this, so Vince just cut them through, the younger guys that are already unestablished yet. I'd be like, makes sense. I'm being honest, Joe, because there is something weird about the cuts. Like, we can discuss them as much as we want, but deep down, there's something odd about these cuts, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't even mentioned Keith Lee, who was literally in the middle of a repackage and a push. And that was
a breakdown. It's like they didn't know what to do with him. Now he's Bearcat Lee, and then he's gone.
He went from being the first ever to hold the NXT and North American title. I mean, he was on top of the world in NXT, and it's same thing with Karrion Kross. Man, that entrance with him and Scarlett was it was perfect. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful. She would mouth the words perfectly. I mean, she was very easy to look at as she came out anyway. They did the whole thing with the wings.
All right, but I
don't get how you just can't bring that to the main roster and just let it play.
So listen to me. Keith Lee had his name changed to the Bearcat because Vince didn't like Keith Lee and he was trying to repackage him. Karrion Kross, his name, from what I've been told or what I read, was not very much well liked within Vince's small circle. And I just started off the show by telling you why. Because if you take the K off the first name, it's a really bad name, and it's a really bad Freudian slip. And when you say a name that has two repeating letters, like Sam Snead or like something like that, the likelihood to do that or to drop that. He didn't like it, the whole thing. Vince didn't like that at all. He wanted to stay away from that as much as possible right now. Remember how Vince used to have, like, literally, it was like the Spanish guys versus, like, these guys. He'd have, like, every nationality, the Italian guys fought over here. Yeah. Now he doesn't do that at all. He tries to, like, just blend it all. So Karrion Kross was not packaged well. They were going to have to repackage him, give him a new name, and do something different with him. That was the only way it was going to work with Vince. Come on, he came out and lost to Jeff Hardy first night. I'm telling you, they had no idea what to do with that guy.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that that they had to let that they did let these guys go. I mean, again, like Frankie Monet and Ember Moon. Ember Moon is such a heartbreaker because she deserves so much better on the main roster. And then Frankie Monet, Taya Valkyrie, because that's what you're gonna remember her as, because she hardly wrestled as Frankie Monet. But she was one of the most dominant women wrestlers in Impact, and honestly, probably one of the better women superstars while she was having her run in Impact. And I mean, if I'm Johnny Mundo or Johnny Nitro, John Hennigan, whatever the hell his name is now, I'm thinking, you know what, you should release me too. They're not using him well. They just unceremoniously tossed his wife out the door. It's stunning, the names or most of the names, because again, you have on here like Grand Metalik and Lince Dorado. They wanted to be released. They were asking for it. They didn't want to be there. Katrina Cortez did something with I think Sin Cara before he was released or before he left. She wasn't really being used that much. Then you get
but Johnny Mercury, right? Johnny Nitro, whatever we want to call him. I call him so many different names by the end of the day.
Yeah, I don't even know what he's calling himself right now, for being honest.
Anyways, but if you really think about him for a second, he's the original NXT. Or one of the originals. He's like, what, season 3? Season 2?
I think you might be right, yeah.
So to Vince, I'm just trying to tell you, like, to Vince, he didn't come up the old way. I really think that there's still too many older people than like myself by like several, like maybe a score and a decade older than me that are still running wrestling, and it's just ridiculous. Like they're still stuck in the old times, and there's a weird like shift from where it should go from the olden times to more modern times, and they don't want to do that, and no one really can agree as to how to do that. You know what I'm trying to say? Like they can't agree. How should we show this to give it more pop than what we've been doing?
I think what really set Vince off was the fact that they moved NXT to national television. It went up against AEW, and it lost every week. And because of the fact that it was now AEW versus NXT, Vince saw it as a failure, when in reality, AEW was just not WWE. So people were going to tune into that, but you still had such a great following who loved NXT. Some people were slighted that it was moved off of WWE subscription programming, but he saw that as a major loss, and it really wasn't, because NXT isn't SmackDown or Raw. AEW Dynamite was a SmackDown or a Raw, where the top talent in AEW was wrestling on that program every week. You always saw Jericho, you saw Kenny Omega, you saw the Young Bucks, you saw Adam Page, John Moxley, you saw all those guys, Darby Allin, I mean Sting, Matt Hardy when he made his return. So it's unfair to look at what AEW Dynamite was doing and say, well, they beat NXT because NXT just wasn't a good show. No, they beat NXT because the star power in AEW at that time was so much better than what NXT had to offer. That doesn't mean NXT is going to fail or is failing, because that's not what NXT is supposed to be. It's supposed to be the indie darling development league, and they made it like, no, we're going to go right up against AEW Dynamite. And Vince, once NXT failed in that regard, was like, nope, we have to, we're moving nights, and I'm taking it from Triple H. You failed. This is being changed. It's not working.
Purging the old NXT, I feel like, man. When I saw all those cuts, I'm telling you, that's all I thought was those are supposed to be the next great crop of NXT guys. Like, what the heck happened? Like these are the guys. Like, these are the guys. These are the girls. These are people, right? and then he drops him.
Yeah,
so,
it's so unfortunate that we're having this conversation. And it's not the first time we've had this conversation on this show for as short as we've been doing this. But I think what's even more unfortunate is before we're like, oh my God, Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt. And now it's like, it's guys that were literally being pushed on television that were being used. I mean, Nia Jax was just in a title match. Nia Jax, a former multi-time women's champion. She was just the tag team champion. Keith Lee was in the middle of being pushed and had a huge run in NXT. I mean, Karrion Kross, huge run with the NXT championship. Ember Moon, huge run with the NXT women's champion. I mean, even Scarlett, for as little as she wrestled, her presence on NXT was well known because she was the precursor to the Omen that was Karrion Kross. And it's just crazy. We're sitting here talking about how these people were just released. And the other thing that blows is, so Ring of Honor's gone. So Ring of Honor's not signing anybody. So they're either going to go to Impact, where, I mean, let's be honest, like Impact doesn't really get a lot of viewership. Like it's also not exactly the top flight promotion. I mean, AEW is probably going to sign some of these guys, but how many? I mean, they can't sign everyone. Pretty sure Karrion Kross is going back to Impact as Killer. He's already kind of teased that. But like, is Keith Lee going to get picked up by AEW? Like, can they give him something to do? It's just like Ember Moon will have no issues. Frankie Monet, Maya Yim will have no issues. But some of the male wrestlers, I mean, Oni Lorcan, I mean, is AEW going to want him for their mid card? Who knows?
That's why we need to start the legit wrestling federation like immediately. We'll get some like rich guys to back us, right? And then we'll hire all the people that get fired from the other shows. And just even with that group of people, we'd have great shows. We could probably put together better storylines.
Yeah, I mean, 2-hour shows once a week. We could probably figure something out.
That would be awesome. All right, Braun, you're gonna go do this.
Yeah.
All right. So next, it was the did you see the back and forth with CM Punk and the guy's name that I'll forget it all night long. Eddie Kingston.
So I did not see this.
All right. So Eddie Kingston is brutal. He looked really genuinely from the heart, not in character or out of character, but both, like angry and pissed off, because I guess he always talks like this, because I've gone back and watched other promos, but he was extra hyped up where he was out of breath. You know when someone's doing a promo and they're out of breath? Like, in other words, CM Punk wasn't out of breath at all. He was just talking. This guy was like out of his mind angry. When a wrestler gets to that point where they're having trouble breathing, you're wondering why. It's because the blood vessels are going to pop. Like, he was playing that character well. And at the end of it, he was like, I'm going to tell you what nobody in the back wants to tell you. He's like, we don't want you here. None of us wanted you here. It's so like, there's so much truth to what he's saying. Because how many wrestlers went? Every time somebody big gets signed, they go, come on.
Yeah.
Now I'm going down the card a notch. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it was a great one. So let's do our Raw review. But you got something, Joe?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm reading some of the highlights from it. And so I did know I saw some things on Eddie Kingston where before he signed with AEW, I think it was, or before he got back in wrestling, he was about to move back in with his mother, and his life was really down because they're doing like an autobiography, or he's got a book coming out or something like that. But he's saying things. Kingston's telling everyone he's absolutely human, flawed, and still fighting every single day. Mentioned about how he's on Zoloft. If he wasn't getting help for his mental health, he would have ended up killing himself. He's like, I've lost too many friends in this business to shut my mouth and bury all of these emotions with pills and booze. And it's one of those things I feel like not having heard the promo, it feels like, this aspect of him is coming out in that promo where, he's realizing like, this was my last shot to make it in a promotion. And now I have to prove myself against you when you shouldn't be here anyway. Cause like, why are you here? You just show up and now you're the best in the world. Come on.
That's what the issue is. His issue is like, what, you show up and now you're the best. Like, in other words, like you could tell it was just like I like the guy. It was a really good promo.
Yeah.
It really was.
It's unfortunate that Moxley is where he is right now. Hopefully he's doing well in rehab. Because that tag team of Kingston and Moxley was so damn good, because they're two guys who just were like,
Unhinged.
They were those type of dudes where like if you were at a bar and they walked in, you'd side eye him and go, I'm going to go as far away from those two SOBs as I possibly can because some shit's going to happen tonight and I don't want to be anywhere near it.
No, exactly. And the thing is, so like, so here's my question: who's running WWE? Because the thing is, like, so who's running WWE? Or you could put that there. And what I'm saying is, who's running WWE? Who is Joe? Who? Let me ask you this. Forget that. Who comes up with the matches before they go on the air? What's going on with that?
I think it's got to be, it's either Pritchard or Vince, right? I mean,
who do they name right now as the person that officially is doing it? Like, who do they even say? I heard it was just Vince.
Yeah, I mean,
Vince is making calls on NXT the whole show.
So that's what you've been hearing. That's all the reports for the last forever has been. Is it's the writers come up with stories and then Vince shows up and goes, nope, all of this sucks. I don't want to do this. Rips up the scripts an hour before the show goes on and then rewrites everything right before everyone can go out.
But why are they doing it like that? Why can no one step in and tell? Can you just not tell him anything? Is it just true that like he's gonna have to pass away for like the WWE to ever change?
I mean, I honestly felt like this for a really long time, but I feel like Vince is probably one of the biggest assholes of all time. And I'm not saying that he hasn't done nice things for wrestlers and for the community and for all that shit. Yeah, he's got billions of dollars or millions of dollars. He's done some good. But when it comes down to it, I feel like he is one of the biggest douchebags that you could possibly ever encounter. You know, that you've got reports of people at the announce table getting screamed at by Vince in their ear because they're not saying things the way they want them to, which is why I think it's amazing that Pat McAfee is able to sit at an announce desk and call matches because that dude is wild, but I love it. It's scary. You know, I've always also had an issue with I think Vince for a long time had an issue with pushing black superstars. For a while, you really like what we had with
don't say you think, but don't say you think.
Yeah, it's
definitely did.
You know, I don't want to start any kind of unfounded rumor, but you know, when you look back on it, it's a very short list of champions who were, or even people of color. I mean, I mean, how many like Latin superstars were champions? I mean, Eddie Guerrero,
Pedro Morales.
Yeah, I mean, but it's a small list compared
to
all those white
Santana.
guys.
Yeah, I'm being honest. I'm telling you, like there weren't many like groundbreaking. That's who it was. For the Italians, it was Bruno. The Polish people had Putski.
Yeah.
No, I'm being serious. There was one for each nationality. The guy who did the claws for the Germans, and then it was before Rocky Johnson. Before Rocky Johnson was, I forget who the other guy's name was, and then it went Rocky Johnson to Tony Atlas. But like those are the big names with all the different like ethnic groups that they would try to like, but like all those other ones never made it to the top. It was like the Brunos and it was the white Europeans.
Even going into the new era, I mean, you had the great Khali who was Indian. I believe, actually, don't quote me, he wasn't Indian. I forget, or I could be. I forget the nationality. I don't want to be insensitive and
it's probably of Asian descent, but yeah.
But he was the world heavyweight champion. But I think Jinder Mahal was the first actual WWE champion just recently. I mean, so you see that with Vince. He just pushed, and I get that maybe in the 90s, there was still a lot of that in the business. But there was some great wrestlers that deserved runs. I mean, yeah, Mark Henry got the World Heavyweight Championship, but I feel like in the mid 2000s, that World Heavyweight Championship was just a consolation prize to superstars who played the game for long enough. They were just like, here's your run with this. Have fun. Like Kane, who deserved multiple main roster titles, was the WWE Championship champion for a day, but got to hold the World Heavyweight Champion for 3 or 4 months.
Wait a minute. Here's the problem with Mark Henry. He gave birth to a hand with Mae Young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for all that he got put through, for how talented that man was, the WWE should have given him more than that.
Strongest guy in the world at one point, just about, right? Could pull a truck, and yet he was sexual chocolate.
Yeah.
He gave birth to a hand. Like, how do you give birth to a hand? Like, and then be considered a serious character? Like, how he didn't slip into the 24/7 zone right there after that gimmick, like after the hand thing, is amazing. The fact that he came all the way back is amazing. It just shows you how big he is and how strong he is. He had to come through.
He came back and was a badass. I mean, he was unstoppable for a while. But it's to get, a little bit back on track. It's very sad that's, and I don't want to say that there's any kind of racism going on, but it's also very apparent that there's an ethnic group, or there's groups, there's people of color that haven't been represented well in the WWE for a very, very long time. And now you're seeing Kofi got his run with the championship and got a pretty good run. Big E's a champion right now. Bobby Lashley finally got his run. So things are changing. Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks both had their runs with the championship. Ivory, I think, back in the day was women's champion for a while. But, you just see these kinds of things where, I feel like Vince is still stuck so far in the past that he'll never catch up to where we are now.
It's not even just that, too. He's got a size issue, right? Vince doesn't like small guys. He doesn't like small guys. He doesn't like big women. And if you're going to be big, you better be really big, right? So he can slap some dumb moniker on you. Or if you're like in between, get out of my wrestling.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say with Vince? Like, that's how he is. It's like, you better be beautiful, or I'm calling you Dewdrop. And I'm not saying Dewdrop's not beautiful. I'm just saying that's a dumb name for a bigger girl. Like, Dewdrop.
Do you see she came out kind of looking like Alexa Bliss the other day on Raw?
Yeah, she's going bad.
The pinks, what do you call them? Suspenders with a pink tutu, kind of looking like Alexa Bliss a little bit. That was a little odd. Wondering if there's something to it.
Her gimmick is such a train wreck that during a promo, she should be like, you know what? And just rip everything off and just go with a whole new gimmick. Stop calling it Dewdrop. It's dumb. It's really dumb.
Just go back to Piper. Yeah, I miss Piper.
It's dumb. All right, let's review Raw really quick. Would have been that. So that would have been the November 8th episode of Raw. Let's go. Let's see. Dominic Mysterio. Didn't he start off? Did he start off the night?
So how Raw started off? It was
right,
Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins came out, and him and Kevin Owens kind of had a little back and forth.
Okay. Yep.
And this set off a chain of events where Kevin Owens kind of spent the whole night trying to, get feedback from people to reassure himself that he was a good person. It actually was pretty well. And Seth spent the whole time trying to remind people that Kevin Owens is not a good person, and that he's been a heel, and how, Sami Zayn can kind of prove to that. And it was actually a really good promo. I mean, I love Seth and Kevin are both great professionals. They play their roles so well. It was a really good way to start off Raw, especially because it didn't take forever. It ended pretty quick. Like, it was short, sweet, and to the point, where Seth Rollins came out, tried to talk down Kevin Owens. It's kind of, I think, trying to get in Kevin Owens' head to get him out of the title picture in the, the grand scheme of the promo. Or he's trying to get Kevin Owens to align with him against Big E. It'll be interesting to see how that goes, because I know we were talking about Seth Rollins kind of starting up some kind of faction, and it'd be funny to see if Kevin Owens is kind of going to fall in with that.
It would be great to see those two rolling together.
Yeah.
As long as Kevin let Seth do the leading, like, he's got to understand, Kevin Owens, that in a group like that, you have to let Seth Rollins be the leader. His character right now is such a egomaniac that he has to be the leader. I mean, how could he not? That's just, where else could you put the guy? But I like starting off the night with guys that can both talk. The guys that can both talk and get the night going, instead of like one guy who can and a clunker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to get these two guys out and rocking, I thought was a pretty good idea.
Yeah, it was just a really good promo from two guys that know how to cut really good promos.
So then, what did you think of what came next?
So we had the 8-man tag match. It was RK Bro and the Street Profits versus AJ Styles and Omos and the Dirty Dogs. And it was actually, it was great because in the back you had Randy Orton basically saying like, I don't care about the Street Profits, like just basically saying he didn't give a damn about him. And all of a sudden, here come the Street Profits, and they're like, "What's up, bro?" And Randy Orton looks at him and goes, "Yeah, I don't care about you guys. Like, I don't care that you're here. I don't care about you guys. Like, you guys are nothing to me." And it's just, I love Andy. I love Randy's character, man. He just doesn't give to quote
He's
one of my
up here.
favorites.
He's up here. They're down here.
To quote one of my favorite shows of all time, and one of my favorite characters, Creed Bratton, the man just doesn't give a hell about nothing. He just doesn't care about anything, and it's fantastic. Yeah, and the match was really good too, because it was an 8-man tag match with some really good tag teams, and you just had like every type of nonsense and craziness that you could think of. Everyone got over. Everyone got their spots in. There was some big spots. You had AJ Styles falling into Omos's arms. It was a good match. And I think it was actually pretty cool that Ziggler and Rude were able to get over in the match too, to be honest.
So, all right, that's what I was going to ask you. Who came out stronger? And what do you think the purpose of the match was? Just time filler?
No, I think this is it was to establish the 4 top tag teams on the brand right now. I think that was the biggest thing that it was trying to do, was to put it in your face. Like, these are the tag teams on our brand right now. And it got to showcased every team's ability in their own way and what they brought to the match. And I think having Ziggler and Rude go over, I mean, we've seen Styles and Omos. They had their run with the titles. The Street Profits had their run with the titles. RK Bro are the champions. It's been a while since the Dirty Dogs held tag team gold. And they've been kind of the whipping boys of the tag team division for months now. So I think giving them or getting them over in this match was really big, to kind of give them that rub, kind of give them that legit, like re-legitimize their status.
Was establishing the 4 key tag teams within our tag division. That's what they were laying on the table for us. They're saying, these teams aren't going to break up anytime soon, hopefully. Like, here's like 4 tag teams that we have, right? Because the problem with tag teams is they pull the trigger on them breaking up way too quick. All the time. Tag teams should break up like every so often, to the point where it's like they never break up. Like, make it special. Because a tag team breaks up, what, in about 4 months? A 5-month run?
They always burn tag teams.
So
for no reason.
Establish 4. Keep them and see and build from there. I think that's a good idea, is keeping tag teams together. So they get over. What happens next?
So what happens next is, officially, if Bobby Lashley is around, hide your kids, because he will attack your children. So this whole thing has been weird, because they announced the SmackDown men and women's, not the Survivor Series teams for both brands through a tweet. Really weird, and conspicuously absent from the Raw team was Bobby Lashley. So Ray and Dominic came to the ring. Adam Pearce came out, and he was like, hey, I don't think Dominic is going to stay on the team. I don't think he's earned his spot on the team, but he can keep his spot if he beats Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley's music hits, and Dominic proceeded to get the absolute daylights beaten out of him. That was it. It was just basically a way to kind of, I think maybe they made a mistake putting Dominic in the match, and this was a way to just kind of fix the mistake and move on.
I don't know. Dominic's not deserving of a spot like that right now.
No, and that's why it was weird that he was given the spot originally.
All right, the only reason he was given the spot was because of what you said before you started talking. You said that Bobby Lashley likes to beat up your kids. So they had to throw him in there because he's the bait of the next kid that he beats up, right?
Yeah, and it'll probably lead to a Ray and Bobby feud.
There you go.
After Survivor Series.
Yep. So he's beating up kids as a way to get into feuds, which is pretty weird. Right? If your kid gets into the thing, I'm going to beat him up.
It makes you wonder if they did it on purpose, or if it just so happened that they were just like, oh, Dominic happens to be Ray's kid. I mean, I don't know. It's a funny thing to think of though, is Bobby Lashley now becomes the kid killer.
Right. There's the legend killer, the kid killer. Don't bring your kid to work because I'll kill him. I'll break him in half.
Remember in WCW when they tried to make Dusty Rhodes into Seven, and he was the stalker, came out with the most epic, and then just shot WCW and was like, "This gimmick sucks. Screw you guys. I'm going back to being Goldust." That's Lashley. He's the child stalker, and he's gonna kill him.
Well, you know what though? There's been a couple that have been weird like that though. The DDP one where he was a stalker on Undertaker's wife.
He stalked.
That was a bit goofy. That was a bit goofy.
That was just Vince wanted to delegitimize every WCW star that came into the company.
Or how about the fact that Vince pretty much made out with every beautiful like female wrestler in the 90s?
Yeah.
Pretty much, right? If you were beautiful, you Trish, you were somebody. At one point, you were either going to be in the Kiss Your Ass Club, you're going to be sitting on his lap, whatever. Vince really did do that. He was like the Hugh Hefner of wrestling.
When you think about it, I mean, if any of that stuff happened now, that guy would be in jail so fast. I mean, sexual harassment in the workplace. I mean, come on now. Like it was bad back in the late 90s, early 2000s.
I'm going to say yeah. But I'm going to say probably not as bad as it was there. Like in the WWE, that environment is bonkers.
Yeah.
So in the 80s, I'm thinking it must have been like 80s to 90s must have been mayhem, and then it started to trickle down. But you know, if I'm being honest, I feel like it's trickled a little too far down because everybody's a little bit too much of a pussy. You know
can you imagine if your boss, as punishment, was like, "We're gonna go out into the middle of a giant crowd on live TV, and you're going to kiss my ass." I mean, William Regal ended up taking over NXT, so I guess it's not all bad. But, I mean, dude, who does that? I mean, I guess it's a way to build nuclear heat, but, like, dude, that's weird. Or when he made Linda an invalid, basically, and she was just confined to the wheelchair.
Yeah.
And he would just torture her. Like,
I gotta be honest, Joe. I just thought that through, and here's where I ended up. And boy, I guess I'm a really messed up kid, or guy, whatever you want to call me. I just went, if he ever made me go to the ring, and I'm established, I'm King Michael, and I got all these people that are rooting and cheering me on, right? And he wants me to kneel down and kiss his bare ass on TV. Now, I'm hoping that before this, there was an argument that led to him saying something along the lines of, if you don't, you're fired, because there's no other way that I would go even out to the ring, right? There's no way I'm doing that. Like I'd be in the pitch room going, no, here's a better idea. No, I'm not kissing his ass. No. So if I had to do that, I would go out there, I would kneel down to kiss his ass, and then I would punch him in the nuts and grab a hold of his nuts and hold on to him for as long as I could before they either went to station break, the cops came, something went down, but I would be known forever as a wrestler that punched Vince in the nuts and then grabbed him and held on to his nuts. There's no way am I kissing your ass. I'm gonna make it uncomfortable. I'm gonna make it weird. You're gonna have to cut the commercial. Screw you. I'm not kissing your ass. Ridiculous.
Pretty sure.
Make a bigger scene.
Pretty sure Stone Cold did that on script. He hit him with a low blow.
No, but he did it in a way that was like scripted. I'm talking about the fact that like I would do it so that it was like ended up on TMZ. Like I ain't letting go. I'm making a big scene out of this. This is going to be really ridiculous because no way am I kissing your ass.
Yeah.
Like screw you. What a dope. But
How
you know
do
what?
Come back from that. I don't know.
Well, you walk out to a limo and it explodes.
Yeah, and then you're back the next week.
Yeah, that's how you come back from that. There. So what happened? What happened next?
So we had Big E versus Chad Gable, which was a very fine match.
Chad Gable can go.
I don't think there was as much of like a lead up to it, but it was a really good match. I mean, grading wise, it didn't really grade out well, but I thought, I mean, Gable looks really good. He always looks good.
What do you think of Big E's finisher?
The big ending? I don't love it. I mean, it's weird, you know, like he just kind of, I don't know.
It's so generic. It's so just a generic, like it's like a generic move on like a wrestling game, video game. Like he's just getting them and flip. It's just I don't see where the impact comes. Like I don't see where what he does knocks the other guy out.
Yeah, I mean, There's a lot of moves like that though, because like I still have a hard time with the RKO. Like,
yeah, true, but the idea of it is that he's dragging your head down and slamming. I'm trying to say, what's even the idea of the other guys? Like Big E's that he's gonna drop you from his shoulder.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it looks fine to me. I wish it was a little different, but I mean, my favorite wrestler's finisher is a double foot stomp from the top rope. I mean, it's not the best move either, but
you know what Big E should do. We all know what he should do. He should be allowed to bring the move back. But there's one finisher that Big E could do all day long, and it would look absolutely monstrous, and that's the power bomb.
Oh, I was gonna guess too. I was gonna say either something like the Last Ride or the Batista bomb.
Just if Big E just started getting everybody, because he's so strong, just get everybody up here and then bam! I mean, he would just destroy people. And why would you not showcase off the fact that he's that strong? People keep forgetting all that stuff about him, how strong he is. Big E is one of those guys in the conversation when it comes to strongest. So why not show off his power? What is this from his shoulder? What? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, what?
I just want someone in general to get the Batista bomb, because I loved Batista's Batista bomb was so sick. Just a sit down power bomb. He'd put so much force into it that he'd end up rolling backwards and then just come right into the pin. Some of my favorite finishers are the ones that lead right, that you can just go right into a pin from. So yeah, I agree with you. He should definitely get some, or even the jackknife, you know. Just like Kevin Nash back in the day.
Yeah, just give him something that you know, it's more. I like Brock's the F50. Why am I blanking
F5.
on the F5? Why am I saying the F5? He's still throwing you, so
yeah,
like you can see it, you can see how that's like make believe, but it could hurt. Like it's believable that it could hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like he does it really quick. And he's strong. And who was it that said, like, he's the only person that you never have to jump with? Like, you don't, like, when other people do their finishes, usually you jump with them.
Yeah.
But you don't want to jump with him, because if you do, you might go flying across the ring, because he just throws you. Like, you don't have to jump. He just, like, let's just have a go. Brock's going to pick you up and throw you over his head. Like, that's how he does his moves. Like, that's why they think he's so crazy. He's such an athlete, that because he just, like, you know how what's his name? Cesaro can pick people up from outside the ring and get them over the ring ropes and then suplex them.
Yeah.
Dude, that's strength beyond strength. That's core strength that we'll never know, Joe.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like ridiculous.
He's another one who's jobbing out right now too. Sucks.
Yeah, he's got to go someplace else.
But they won't cut him though.
What's that? Yeah, they won't.
They won't cut. Yeah, because they don't want him going somewhere else and being something.
It doesn't also hurt too that him and Sheamus, they're all there's like a little clique of them, and even who's the champ recently? I'm blanking out completely. Drew
McIntyre.
Yeah, help me out here. McIntyre rolls with that group, so there's a group of them that like, I don't know. I feel like you have more protection if Vince likes you.
Well, yeah, they're also not that I don't want to say foreign, but they're more like kind of like international stars. None of them are like, because I don't think Cesaro is actually maybe he might have been born in America. I know he's, I think, Armenian, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he's the Swiss.
Swiss. Yeah. Wow. Whew.
How'd you get Armenian?
Swiss. I freaking know.
All right,
man, I'm thinking of the colors of green and red for some. I don't know.
All right, what happened next, Joe?
Some 24/7 crap. Sorry, my voice is starting to go out on me here.
Who was there?
Who wasn't there? Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander were out. So I guess the Hurt Business is broken up again. I don't know. I think I don't know. We'll never get an explanation. R-Truth came out. Reggie lost to Drake Maverick for like an actual title defense. Drake Maverick wins the 24/7 championship. And then Akira Tozawa rolls him up and he wins. And then Corey Graves rolled Tozawa up and Corey Graves won the 24/7 title. And then Byron Saxton rolled up Corey Graves, and Byron Saxton won the 24/7 title. Then Drake Maverick rolled up Byron Saxton and regained the 24/7 championship. And then Reggie rolled up Drake Maverick and regained the 24/7 championship. And then proceeded to flip out of the ring and left the 24/7 championship behind. Didn't even go to grab it. And the best part is he flipped. So, right, he flips out of the ring. Nobody goes to reach for the 24/7 championship, and like everything stood still, right? Because you think like all these guys who were just involved in all this would chase him down and instantly try to defeat him, but he didn't have the belt, and they didn't want him to leave without the belt because that makes the belt look stupid. Like the champion runs away without it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have all these guys around the ring, and they're just kind of sitting there like, "Oh man, I can't believe I just lost. Oh man, you're the champion. Oh, what do I do?" Does he have? You bring him the belt? He got. All right, he's got the belt. Let's chase him. And then they start running, and it's just. It was so bad. It was so bad, man.
Is that what made Vince leave?
Maybe it might have been. Very well, might have been.
Sounds like what would make him leave.
It was awful. It was so bad, and I can't believe they let that play out on live television. Like it was just bad. It was just bad filler. Like it was such bad filler.
That whole 24/7 thing should be scrapped. Like even the hardcore when it was the 365, what it was called, around the clock when hardcore.
Yeah,
it was like
the hardcore championship.
Yeah, but it was like that. Yeah, there was a time where it was 24.
Yeah.
It was all the time too. But it had more respect to it. But still, it got aggravating when there was like so many people who would win it every night. This 24/7 though one has gotten to the point where I wouldn't even make it a real belt. I would make it like a fake plastic belt you buy at a toy store. That's all I would do from now on.
It looks like a fake belt.
But I would completely fake it. Like, make that a real, truly fake thing and just fake the whole thing out. It's stupid. It's a dumb thing, and they keep doing it. And you can't tell me that they can't fill that time with a better match with the actual wrestlers that they got in the back room there.
You could just take those wrestlers and give them an actual freaking match. I mean, just make a tag team out of some of those guys. And honestly, man, Akira Tozawa with his whole ninja getup is like that has to stop, man. It's so bad. I don't get. I mean, it's a paycheck, so I'm sure the guy's fine with it, but it's so bad.
Why don't they mess around with stuff like have a last man standing match in the middle of the night? Just take two guys that don't like each other and have a last man standing match and let them go at it, right? Or have a no holds barred match. This next match is going to be a street fight match. This next fight, like I would have all kinds of different styles of matches to at least put the talent over, but also build them up, like or have things that are different going on. Like so you don't have to rely on something like that 24/7. Like give me match stipulations. As a wrestling fan, that's what I love. Give me. Don't put stuff on polls. But give me match stipulations. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah,
that's what I want. And they don't do any of that stuff.
Or, I mean, even like, you don't have to do it every show. But at some point, like, it's wrestling. Like, these guys don't like each other. There's stories. Like, have two guys who have, like, maybe not a program going, but, like, just don't like each other, have had something in the past. And they just start brawling in the back. Yeah, they just start fighting. And
just two badasses.
An impromptu backstage brawl. You know what I mean? Like they could easily do a lot of different things. They could do like what you're saying, just be like, you know what? I don't like that you said this last week. And it kind of ticked me off. So how about you and me go settle this out in the ring with the tables match or a last minute, anything that you just said.
Or even like, doing the matches tonight and like, we got one match to fill. It's like a tables. We're gonna do a tables match or whatever, and have the guy be like, "Who's it against?" Well, we don't know yet. And he's like, "Sign me up." Like in other words, just throw me in a match like that, just because I want to do a match like that. Let's go do that. Like, show the wrestlers like certain wrestlers volunteer for that. I would love to be in a no holds barred match. Who's it with? Have them come out with like the crowbar. Wham.
Or every night so it starts at 8, so 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock is a slot. That's the middle of the show. They need to fill a slot. Hey, tonight we've got an open slot. We're gonna set a ladder match. Whatever. Just gonna have a ladder match. We're gonna let whoever wants to come out and just wrestle. You know, it's just it's an open match. If people want to get on TV, they want to settle some stuff. They just want to show what they can do. We're going to leave it open. And obviously it'll be scripted. They'll be like, all right, well, you three are going to be the ones who come out to do this match. But still, you don't have to say, obviously they're not going to say that. It just
show
happened.
It should be shown in the back room where they have the matches up on the wall, as if that's how they still kind of do stuff.
Yeah.
And like, it could be just like a wrestler who hasn't been on TV in a while, and it'd be like, put me in there.
Yeah.
I'm being serious.
You get a couple guys talking in the back of the locker room, like, oh man, like it's a tables match tonight, man. I love tables matches. Like those are a lot of fun. You know what? I think I'm going to do that. And then some guy comes around and goes, oh, are you? Hey, remember that time you put me through a table a year ago?
There you go.
I'm going to sign up for that. And let's see. I'm going to put you through that table. You know what I mean? Like, it's so simple. How are we writing a better show than what is actually being put on TV?
It would, because they don't think it through. Like, you're building, not only now can you build long-term storylines, but you can build short-term storylines that are good matches. That there's a reason why they're short terms, because they were X, like we just said, or Z, or it was this type of match they needed filled. But give these guys chances to have just these one-off matches, but there's actually a reason behind them. Like, God forbid there's a reason behind something.
Or just a cohesive story that lasts. Or, I mean, it would even be cool, like I'd said, like, you had a promo a year ago with two guys, and you just do a callback to it. And this guy's like, I remember I didn't do so well in that little... that little segment that we had so many months ago. So yeah, I'm going to join this match since you're in it, and I'm going to kick your ass because I want retribution. And it doesn't have to be this big drawn out storyline. It's just a guy who's going to go out there and try to get his, you know?
And we're talking about continuity, but there's also a third wall type cut in of show the locker room as a locker room. Please, for the love of God, show like a locker room as a locker room, in the sense of like people have their own rooms and their own dressing rooms, but there's like a locker room atmosphere where guys can be around other guys. Every time they show somebody, they have their own room. Roman Reigns, own room. So-and-so, Goldberg, own room. Everybody's got their own. Where's the locker room? Bring back what makes us love the idea of being a pro wrestler, is that idea that you're in the locker room with the other guys. Like that's who are trying to fool here.
So
like, show backstage.
So actually, it's a good segue into the next match, where it was the Fatal 5-Way with all 5 women who were on the Raw Women's Survivor Series team. But it was the most scripted backstage segment I've ever seen, because who do we have? It's Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Carmella, and Queen Zelina. And they're out there, they're talking, you know, ooh, can we coexist, blah, blah, blah. And I think it was Sonya Deville comes up and she's like, man, you know what? Just for fun, we're gonna see how you guys do. You guys are gonna have a Fatal 5-Way, and it's gonna be for a shot at the championship. Oh, cool. So now here comes Doudrop, Nikki Ash, and someone else. I forget who else came over and kind of got their 2 cents in. But the interaction was so forced and fake. You know, I remember watching Simon Miller on Ups and Downs, and he was like, yo, why can't you just let these people in the locker room talk to each other like they're in a locker room talking to each other? Why does it have to be like this? Well, this is why it has to be like this, because I want it to, you know what I mean? Like, it's always just like, it's like the lines are written so like someone who's like articulates well. Like it's hard to, I don't know.
All right. I understand what you're
saying.
saying. I get that. I get that whole side of it. And I agree with what you say. And I agree with our good friend Simon. However, I blame the wrestlers in the sense that you got to sell stuff. Like, you got to be able to deliver a line and not sound like a robot. Like, that's part of the game. That's actually part of the business. So if you can't remember a line or recite it without sounding like, this is where I'm supposed to come in, this is where I'm supposed to be, like, you know what I'm saying, Joe? Like, I get it, but I don't get it. Like, you can't, you got to know how to do your stuff.
What if the lines are so poorly written that because I'm of the belief that you have to believe in like what you're selling and what you're saying. And if the dialogue is just written so poorly and you're so scared to go off script or act the way they don't want you to, that they're going to cut you because that's might be what happens, that's why they don't show personality. But they also they weren't looking at each other.
That's what I'm saying. The great ones can push it across, man.
And it's even when Big E, watching the TV and he's watching the TV in the back like this. Who does that, man? Why? It's so weird that they don't let some of these superstars just be themselves, just be normal.
I don't think some of them have personalities. How about that?
That's possible.
I think if you can't deliver a line or you can't act in a little skit there, you shouldn't really be there. You need to be able to do both in this thing now. I love hearing guys on the mic. Someone who says, "Oh, he's a great wrestler. That's why I love him. I don't care if he's good on the mic." I'm like, no. I want both, and I want a good entrance. I want a guy I can root behind. You know what I mean? Something that's cool. You know what I mean? So he's got to be able to speak.
Yeah.
With that said, what happened after that match?
So basically, Bianca Belair had the match won. She hit the KOD on I forget who she hit it on. I think it might have been Rhea or Zelina. I forget who, but she hits the KOD, and Doudrop, who felt slighted in their backstage altercation, unprovoked, because Bianca Belair didn't provoke Doudrop in any way. But Bianca Belair hits the KOD, goes for the pin. Doudrop pulls her out, throws her into the ring post, and that's it. And then Carmella goes for the roll up, or goes for the pin to steal the pin after I forget. I think it might have been Zelina who was hit with the KOD. And then here comes Liv Morgan. She comes in, she rolls up Carmella, hits the most outstanding move in all sports entertainment. Liv Morgan is now the #1 contender for the Women's SmackDown Championship. I love that Liv's getting the push. The ending was awful, because if Doudrop's going to come out there and just assert herself, why wouldn't you just lay everybody out? Just lay everyone out. Don't just take out Bianca, because that doesn't. What's the storyline there? I mean, yeah, we'll probably get some storyline context, but it just doesn't. What was your beef with Bianca that you went out there and stopped her from winning, but let the other women?
If it continues week after week that she starts to go insane and she just wants to ruin Bianca's life, then maybe it'll make sense if they really commit to it. But if they do a one and done on it, it will never make sense.
Yeah. I guess it's them trying to create intrigue, but I still don't like it.
How many matches are we got left?
So we had the next was just Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins.
All right. And what do you think?
This was another awful. So, all right. The match was fantastic because Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens can't have a bad match. It's just impossible. But the issue is, and I've said it on this show before, that WWE doesn't listen to their own rules. So you can have a match where two superstars go outside the ring and they're outside the ring for a minute fighting. The ref just doesn't count to 10. Well, in this match, Big E came out to the commentary table to watch the match firsthand. Kevin Owens, after what was a really good back and forth match, the crowd got really into it. Kevin Owens, I forget how he fell into the floor and then accidentally fell into Big E as he was outside, and that caused him to be counted out to 10, and Seth got the count out victory, which took all the momentum out of the match. It took the crowd right out of the match.
So they did not end that one.
No, and then Kevin Owens freaked out and then attacked Big E, and he just destroyed Big E, showing that Seth Rollins was right all night, and that Kevin Owens really isn't a good guy, and that Big E shouldn't have trusted Kevin Owens, and Seth Rollins was right. But the crowd wasn't into it because you ended the match horribly.
Stunk.
So yeah, it's
you know what that actually reminds me of? You know what that reminds me of? There's a show coming on AMC called Kin, right? And they're advertising it as the Irish Sopranos. And I'm like, get the out of here with that. What a doomed thing that is. Imagine you're going to call a show the Irish Sopranos.
Yeah.
Whenever you do something like that, it never works.
Yeah, because you're setting the bar up here.
Yeah.
And the expectation is good. Well, the expectations will be up here, but the show's actually going to come in down here. Even if it's a great show, it's never hitting that bar.
Exactly. So, all right, we got through that Raw. See, Joe, I think here's where we're at. There's a lot of confusion as to what's going on. Like, what is the real apple at the end of the stick for WWE? Are they gonna sell this? What are they looking to do? Is Vince gonna turn this over to somebody else and make it more competitive? Like, what is Vince gonna do? What's gonna happen? I think that's where we're stuck. Like, what's gonna happen with them? Because AEW is just doing their thing, man. They're just building it up, building it up, building it up. It's all the cards seem to be with Vince. What are you gonna do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's he gonna do?
I think he's selling.
I'm scared that he is. Yeah.
I think he's selling. He's old. He doesn't want to do this shit anymore. He's getting sick of it. I think he's cutting profits as much as he can, and he's gonna end up selling and say it's been a great run. I'm over this. Give it to somebody else, and then see where it goes.
He should, but he didn't want to do that with Triple H. And I think that's because Triple H failed. I think if you fail with Vince once.
See, I think in the shitty thing is he failed in Vince's eyes.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. He didn't fail, but to Vince he failed.
He created this small little universe that really only worked well as a small little universe. That makes sense.
But it worked so well though. It was the most over thing WWE has done
a long time.
It's since creating SmackDown. Just because it didn't have a huge following. Going up against AEW was the worst thing they could have done with NXT.
No, I agree. All right. Any last words before we wrap it up, Joe?
Nope. My throat's killing me. I think I've talked enough. I'm about to go suck on 30 different friggin' cough drops to try to fix myself.
I only had 3 losses this week again. So out of the last 3 out of my last 4 weeks, I've only had either 2 or 3 losses in 10 wins.
Nice.
Picking games. So I'm literally almost at 78%. I'm picking games on the spreads.
So what you're saying is they should make a movie about you.
What they're saying is it's 1, I'm in Fuego. 2, I'm the host of the football show. So while I'm asking them all their predictions on picks and I'm giving my pick, they just gloss over me. All right, well, here I am, But so that's all for Joey Paranormal, for me, Mike Lepre, King Mike L. This was the world of legit fantasy wrestling here on November 10th, 2021. Thank you for watching. We will see you next week. Tomorrow we have legit football at 7:00 and legit basketball at 8. Thank you for watching legitpodcast.com.